hear me well?
Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Excellent. We are live. Excellent.
Perfect.
Awesome, man. How are you doing? All good?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. Where in the country are you at?
So I moved to Minneapolis, Minnesota about gosh, should be 3 weeks on Sunday. 3 weeks ago on Sunday.
Very recent.
Yeah.
Why did you make the move?
Yeah, so probably a couple different reasons, but I would say uh probably most importantly, probably lead flow wise, is probably what I would say, as far as kind of having different types of leads, kind of vendors, lead types, strategies, things like that. After talking to Easton about it and things like that, just kind of made sense. Um, and so, yeah, about 3 weeks now. So it's been good.
So 100% work mainly, the main reason why you moved there then, right?
For the most part. For the most part,
Pretty
yeah.
much. Is the
Yeah.
dog along there with you? The
My
pup?
folks actually are coming up here tomorrow, and they're bringing my dog with me or with them, and so my dog will be up here starting on tomorrow, I guess. So that'll be fun.
Oh, man, I bet you're missing him.
I do, yeah. No, I do for sure. My mom FaceTimes me like every day, and she's like, "Only a couple more days." So yeah, so it'll be exciting once he gets here.
That is great, man. That's fantastic. What's your dog's name?
His name is Dirks.
Dirks?
Yeah. So
Cool.
grew up a
Very
farm
cool.
named after a country singer. So
Well, that makes sense. That makes sense. Very good.
yeah.
Cool. So how do you like Minneapolis so far? You're at the new office?
Yeah. So yeah, Samantha Brook just opened up this super nice office.
I know. It looks like she's watching us right now. Congratulations, Samantha, on your office. That's fantastic stuff. We all want to get there.
Yeah, so it's super nice. They had a really good grand opening, a really good turnout, and Sean and Zach and Brent and all of them were here on Monday. Gosh, it's already Thursday. On Monday, they had a great training. Evan was here, did some training. Kiefer did some training. Some really good producers here. So yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it's super nice. So
Man, you're very lucky that you're surrounded by that team. That team is doing very good stuff. They're growing super fast, and yeah, that Ty, all those guys, they're doing really good work. So very, very good for you, man. Very good to be surrounded by that crowd because it's only gonna make you better, and that's a very good thing. So I'm
absolutely.
currently in Albuquerque, New Mexico, here running this whole week. So I made the drive. I made the drive yesterday night from Denver. So ready to hit the road tomorrow and see how it goes. But
Hey,
I'm very excited to have you, Michael. Let me tell you a little bit about how Challenge with Pancho goes. You've probably seen a couple of the previous episodes.
yep,
Um, we want to go a little bit about your past, what you did before, how did you got into Family First Life, and then we're going to touch a couple of different areas that I believe that some people told me that you're pretty good at. And we're also going to touch a couple of things about life transfers because I know that today you tried it for the first time and you had very good success. So it's fresh in your mind, and we definitely want to pick your brain to make sure that people can make the most out of this. All right. So I'm going to challenge you a bit. That's the whole purpose of this.
sounds good to
So
me.
let's get started. So tell me a little bit, Michael, what were you doing before joining Family First Life?
Yeah, so I guess if you go back even further, so grew up in Nebraska, a small town outside Nebraska on a horse ranch for a number of years. And then I worked actually in construction in the summers of high school and a couple of years of college for my brother building houses. He still has a company down in Omaha, but I realized that's not really for me, especially if you're kind of an extrovert. You probably should be standing on a roof in the middle of summer. So anyway, so did that for a while and then worked at a gym for part of college. And then I actually was in the insurance industry. I worked for a very large insurance company, one of those fully underwritten ones. Had a great experience, met a lot of great people, had a lot of fun. But I guess what I would say is over time, I realized that I kind of want a little more than that. And so I've been in insurance and I've had my license probably for I don't even know, honestly, 4 or 5, 6 years. I don't even know. It did take me the third time to pass it, actually. For some reason the insurance test was harder than an accounting test for me. And so, but I passed it and here I am. And so I joined FFL, and I don't know if we're going to get into this more, but I joined FFL back in July, very end of June, July maybe. So just hit about 3 months. So
Wow, lots of very different stuff before even getting to insurance. And so you say horse farm. Of course, I'm guessing you grew up riding horses, right?
I did,
And
yeah.
how much you like horses? Dogs and horses are my favorite animals in the world. So let me tell you that. That's a big thing for me. Here we
Perfect.
have Calvin Wright, man. He's in the
There you
house. Oh, there you go. So cool. So you grew up like riding horses, myself as well, Michael. I loved it, man. I like back in Argentina, that's where I'm from. Uh, Family with the ranch, going to the ranch as much as we could, ride some horses, have some fun, and then yeah, and then now we're in Family First Life. I got to meet you in person when you came to the what was it, the conference here in Denver? Remember that?
Yep.
We
Oh
we
yeah.
spoke briefly there. I got to meet you. You just came out of having a huge week, and I believe that was one of the first weeks in
Yep.
the with Family First Life. I know that you made a huge impression on Sean and some people that were around. So I was like, okay,
I love that.
we need to keep an eye on this guy because he's gonna be doing some great things. So this is great. All right. So how do you? I know that you transitioned from a different insurance company to Family First. What are some of the main things that you believe that separates Family First Life from other insurance companies, and why do you think this is a better place to be at personally?
Yeah, definitely. So I think that the thing is when you're on the phone setting an appointment on dial day, or you're sitting in a home talking about you know the different carriers you represent. I truly think there's an option and a solution for everybody with Family First Life, and kind of the ability to access the companies we have access to. I know a lot of times with other captive agencies, it's kind of a one size fits all solution. If we can't get you qualified, then kind of pass you down the line kind of thing, if you will. And so what I find that's completely different is they truly have the best interest of all the clients and the people we're sitting down with. Just today on Zoom, my guys I dial with every day, or every dial day, my group I dial with, we have each other's, volume on so you can hear things and like that. And this is just a perfect example. Johnny Olson Peter was talking to a guy, and he goes, I'm 86 years old. I know, I sent a couple of requests in for information regarding life insurance. And honestly, like, I know I'm not going to qualify. And so you don't waste your time. And Johnny's like, well, you said you're 86, right? And he's like, well, yeah. And, all this stuff. He's still president of a concrete company and all this stuff. And probably has a need for some insurance, right? And Johnny's like, no, you're good. Like, we have a carrier that goes all the way up to age 89. And so that right there is like, it's in itself is an example of the benefits of working with Family First Life, and the job that, Sean and kind of the guys and gals, I should say, that kind of paved the path. I truly think there's no better places if you're trying to really do the best for your clients. Because again, that access, saying, hey, we're licensed with 10, 15, 20 carriers. There's a solution for just about everybody, I think. So that's just my opinion. So.
Yeah, well, that is a very good point, and it's funny because I asked that question to pretty much so everyone who has been here so far, and everyone answered in a different way, which is a really cool thing to see that there's so many pros of working here, and I definitely believe I'm a huge believer of that. There's really no excuse of not being able to find the right coverage for someone. Like when I have people that are like, oh, I have cancer, I'm like, don't worry, I got someone that can take care of you. Like we can find definitely something, and people get scared about it. Like they don't know, I don't know, they freak out a little bit. But the truth is that we do have the resources to help families who are looking for coverage. So that's something that makes our job a lot easier. And I believe that we're very privileged to be able to go and serve people that way, because truth be told, like imagine if you were just running one carrier with only those options and that was it, man.
Right.
All the hard work would be very disappointing, because you know that if you truly believe and care about the client, there wouldn't be much you'll be able to do at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So,
Something else I was going to add in there real quick, Poncho, if that's okay, is I
sure.
think not only does it benefit us as agents, but I think it actually benefits the clients the most, is the fact that when you walk out of that home, they know if they got coverage or not. And I think that's something like, when you're going into an appointment, or some people like that are like, maybe, hey, I don't know if I can be qualified. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get insurance. And they really explain to you, you sit there and they explain to you how much of an impact it's going to make on their family. And like being able to walk out of their house being like, hey, here's your policy number. Here's my contact information. Keep your eye out. You know, your policy is going to come in the mail the next 7 to 10 business days. Like for me, in my opinion, like that's way better than anything else, because like at the end of the day, they're getting the coverage they need and they want, because again, they requested it. But I think it's such a satisfaction for the client to be able to know like, hey, when Pancho or Michael or whoever my agent is that, you know, sits with me, when they walk out, like my family's covered, you know. And so I think that's a huge deal with Family First Life.
That's awesome, man. Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that, because that's 100% truth. We're here for them. Very good. So I know this is fresh in your mind, Michael. So tell me a little bit about how was your first experience with life transfers. Walk me through what life transfers are,
Yeah.
how did you get started, and then what was the end result so far today?
Yeah. So I saw this stuff on live transfers, and I know I've been kind of following it a little bit. And I'm not really someone to just like jump in, right? I kind of want to have people test it. And I got to the point where
Same.
yesterday, yeah, exactly. Yesterday, I refreshed, I don't know, our Slack group, like on the daily sales thing. And I called, I don't know who I called. I maybe actually walked over to Samantha's office. I said, look at this, like this guy just made $11,000 on a live transfer sale, right? In our Slack
Wow.
group. I was like, gosh, sounds good. And then I shot a text to Zach, and then texted Wiley, or called Wiley. And then I was like, Easton, should I do this? And he's like, yeah, dude, just do it. And so I got signed up yesterday. So kind of the process is, you know, you go to the allwebleads.com, reach out to a representative. Honestly, I'm horrible at technology. And so I just called them and was like, hey, this is what I want. How do I do this? Here's the reins. Go ahead and take them. And so they got me set up. They're very nice, helpful folks. Got set up with it yesterday, and then actually helped a couple other people here in this office get set up with it last night after they got done with their work. And so I got to the office today to dial, just like any other Thursday. And I think within about 20 minutes, I had the first one come in, super nice gal. So the nice part is you put on there the states that you're licensed in and that you want to kind of have possibility of them coming into. And so I'm licensed in, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 states. And so I put them all on there. You can also control when it's going to be on or off.
That's cool.
I put on there that I'm available from, I think it was like 7:30 or 8 a.m. I think it was 8 a.m. to like, I don't know, 7 p.m. or whatever it is, maybe on dial days. And then obviously if I'm not running a Sunday, I'll probably turn it on when I'm sitting there watching football or hanging out.
Why not?
Exactly, right? Why not get paid to watch football or hang out with my dog? And so
Hold on a second. Football team.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm such a players guy. I'm a huge sports fan. I'm more of a players guy. I will say my dad is a Broncos fan, and so from back in the John Elway days, and then obviously when Peyton Manning was there and the whole Omaha thing, I gotta kind of be a little Broncos guy.
I went to watch the Broncos this past weekend against the Ravens at the stadium. I live 4 blocks away from the stadium, and it was an amazing experience. But yeah, but Lamar Jackson was on fire, so it was a bit of a disappointment. But it was still a very cool experience.
I know. So I don't know. That's awesome, because I'm a huge like players fan, and so I wouldn't even say I'm like a personally big Broncos fan, but I like the Broncos. There's only
What players do you follow? What players do you follow?
It's hard not to be a fan of Patrick Mahomes, I think. And Kansas City's only just 2.5 hours down the road from where I grew up. And so yeah, and then I mean, being here in Minneapolis now, huge sports town. I'm not necessarily a Vikings fan by any means, but I'll sneak over there and go to a game or anything like that. Long story.
The bad boy Aaron Rodgers, who takes care of them from time to time, and I really like that guy. He's good.
You like Aaron Rodgers?
Oh man, big time! Huge fan. He's the only jersey I ever personally purchased was an Aaron Rodgers jersey. I gave it to my brother. But yeah.
Definitely not a Patrick fan.
That's fine. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
You're good. So going back to the live transfer things, and so how they work is you kind of set the time you want to be available. And so it's per lead that comes in if you talk to the person. Even if you don't talk to them, that's the sense of the live transfer. It's $60 each time, but it's a qualified lead that has already been screened. They've already kind of done the due diligence to figure out if there's an intent to buy insurance. They're looking for. So first call I got in, she unfortunately had some bank issues. And so we're working on figuring that out. But then about 30 minutes later, no, probably about an hour later, had another call with a gal, got her set up right then and there. And then actually her husband and her brother are supposed to be calling me back tonight or tomorrow morning. She texted me. And it was like 147 a month. So it was like a little under 1,800 bucks right there in about 20 minutes while I was dialing. So what I would say too, it's a good lead flow mix for people, especially to break up your dial day. I pretty much only run mortgage protection, and I also really like final expense mailers. And I've actually gotten really into CRM too this last weekend, but I don't know, it's just a good lead flow. And I think if anything too, it really teaches you to kind of, critique or kind of, I don't know, critique yourself, but also define your craft, because it's a much different language, I think, that you're trying to speak over the phone, and you got to be straightforward and get to the point. And what I found is just having that quick conversation with that gal and helping her out was like, okay, in the home, am I trying to build too much rapport? Am I talking too much? Do people just want me to be straightforward, like, and not really just like a robot, but not really, but so I think if anything, if you can definitely invest some time and some money, because it's definitely not cheap, but I think you'll really learn a lot. Not only about the business and helping people out, but I think about yourself and really kind of find what you're good at. So that's
very good advice. So my question is this. Now let me get more into the technicalities of it. When you get the transfer, how does it come? Does it come from a particular number all the time, so you know that that call that you're receiving is actually a live transfer? Does it come from the same number every time that they connect you with a client, or how does that work?
Yeah. So going back to the last part of your question. So previously, and I don't know why I didn't do this, but I started doing this once I moved up here to Minneapolis, is I started now saving every client's number, the state they're from, the policy, what type it is, how much they're paying every single month, all in like details. And so, because a lot of times when we get a call from like, hey, Denver, Colorado, gosh, is someone calling me to cancel their policy? But anyway, so long story short, I started doing that. So I highly recommend people to do that and save their clients' phone numbers. But with the live transfers, like you asked, how it works is they will call you and the number will show up directly to the line that the client's calling from. But it's actually on the other end is a representative or your rep from All Web Leads, like, hey, Michael, like tonight or this morning was like, hey, Michael, I got so-and-so on the line. Are you ready to be transferred? Yep, all good. Okay, so-and-so, Michael's on the line, the insurance representative. And then I said, hey, so-and-so, good morning. My name's Michael. I'm here to help you out with insurance. So I set the stage with them with my first line. I tell them, hey, I'm going to make sure you get the coverage you're looking for here today. Just to right like that. Let them know, like, hey, this is not a quote thing. I'm not here to, talk to you for 2 seconds and have you hang up on me. Like, we're doing this today. So
makes sense. If they got all the way to use because they're clearly interested in, there's a lot of intent, I believe, in those leads particularly. So I really like the fact that you're mentioning how direct you have to be, and that let's get right to the point. You're already been on the phone already with somebody else answering questions X, Y, and Z. But and you're still here, which basically shows that you definitely want to do this. So I think that if someone that's watching this, that's possibly one of the most important things to keep an eye on. A couple of things, Michael, that I'm very much looking forward to trying this. I'm not going to do it this week because this week I'm particularly doing traveling around New Mexico, seeing clients and other stuff. But the following week, I'm actually going to be in Florida.
Perfect.
While I'm in Florida, I'm not going to have my leads coming in there, my typical leads. So I am actually going to try this out the entire week and see how it goes. So I'm very much looking forward to it. So I want to learn a couple of things before getting in there. But I was thinking that, I don't know if you knew this, I used to work for Apple, and I used to work at one point in time, I work on the tech support side of, and particularly with them. Sorry, can you hear me? I just got a call.
Yeah, good. Yeah, no worries.
Sorry, very good. So particularly, I was doing tech support, but clients don't want to waste time. They want to hear a couple of things right away from the beginning. Number one is like, hey, I hear that you're here for insurance. Is that right? Yeah, perfect. So my job here as the agent is to help you find the right insurance for yourself. By the end of this call, we're going to find a policy that makes sense for you, for your budget, and for your needs. And I'm going to ask you a couple of questions to understand which direction we have to go. Once we find that thing, we're going to send an application. by doing this kind of things is very similar to something like, hey, I heard that you're coming here because your phone is not working properly. Is that right? Oh yeah, that's right. So you're acknowledging the issue, you're aligning with the client on the other side of the phone, that you're talking about the same reason, right? So the phone, you have to be very direct, and you need to show that you understand the reason why you're there. You're gonna
Yep.
run into entertainers, you're gonna run into directors, you're gonna run into feelers, you're gonna run into all sorts of different personality types on the phones. But if you take control just like in the home, as you know, I'm pretty sure that's gonna be really good. I'm looking forward to these phone leads. Let me tell you that. I think
Yep.
it's gonna be a game changer. And I might not wait till next week to get started,
Hey,
but
turn them on.
yeah, I
Yep.
might turn it on right away. But yeah, but I do wanna be prepared, because I think a lot will go down to having a very good structure.
Yep.
So, you mentioned you have 7 or 8 states already under your belt. Is that right?
Yeah, I think there's, gosh, I don't even know. I was
Uh,
like, yeah, I think it's 6, 7, or 8 states, and I'm actually adding like 2 or 3 more that I'm getting licensed for here tonight. So yeah, hopefully, probably by the end of October, I'll probably have close to 15, I bet. So,
that makes sense. And so let me think. Um, so today, how many of those calls came in?
so I had 2 today, and that's another thing I should mention. So you can set how many calls you want to have come in every single day. It doesn't mean that you're going to get that much volume, but you can almost kind of put a cap on it. And so you can cap it at calls per day and calls per week. And so I just put mine personally to 10 calls for every dial day, because at the end of the day, even if I get half of those and I sell half of them, I mean, the first, like, it's crazy to me. I'm a pretty transparent person. So I bought, gosh, I don't know, right around $1,000 worth of like 1 month and 3 month internet leads today. Right. And so
Right.
I'll tell you, if you're not buying the 1 months and 3 months, you need to do it.
You're missing out.
Yeah, right. Calvin knows. And so,
Calvin already let that one out a couple of weeks back.
yeah,
For the ones who
exactly.
were here watching it, he already told everyone to do that one. So yeah.
I know, so I'm behind the ball, but long story short, I spent about, I think it was like $1,000 or something like that this morning on leads, and then within my first hour and a half, I got the live transfer call, and my leads were paid for like that. You know what I mean? And so I'm still gonna go run my appointments, and I still dialed the rest of the day, but it's one of those things that,
You're
gosh,
calling free leads in a way, right?
right, and on a dial day, because and also I think the intent to purchase is so much higher than anything else with these live transfer. Not that, people are requesting help, requesting the information. And so what I think personally is, like, I think you either got a 50-50 shot to sell these people or not, because if there's an intent to purchase, and like you said, Pancho, if you don't come in with structure and kind of get to the point, I think is where you kind of lose people with the live transfer stuff. But gosh, if you get maybe 4, 5, 6 in a day and you sell half of them, average policy size is what, $1,300. You're going to make 4 grand on a dial day. And so I think it's a really attractive thing. And I think, like you said, Pancho, I think it's a great way to really kind of, mix in some things here and there. So,
That's great. That's very good. Very good advice. Very good. All right. So let me move you on to different area of the business. So which one, if you have to pick one of the two, because I've joined the Zoom calls and I've heard you be on the phones, you're very solid, you're very good on the phones. Of course, I've never seen you on an in-home. If you have to pick one or the other, I know which one you're going to say you like the most, but which one you think you're the strongest at?
yeah, so I think, so this is actually a topic I have debating right now in my head, actually. I think, if there's, in my personal opinion, I love mortgage protection. I think there's also two different types of mortgage protection. I think that and I just did a training on this at the Minneapolis Grand Opening, as far as, there's a mortgage protection where they're younger folks trying to cover the whole mortgage, or there's maybe sufficient funds to be able to do so. Again, that's not everyone's budget. A lot of the mortgage protection matters that I get in and that we see, people are 50, late 50s, 60, 70 years old. So it really transitioned into that other side of things where it's like the equity protection. That's my absolute favorite, is figuring out, hey, what does Mary need? God forbid, Bob, hey, man, you don't get home tomorrow night, right? That kind of thing. And so, long story short, I love mortgage protection, but I think what I like best is more of the equity protection side of things, really sitting down with folks who, have kids, have grandkids, really making sure, like, hey, I mean, I don't care who you are, $20,000 worth of equity in your house, $20,000 is a lot of money. I don't care who you are, right? So that's my favorite. But like I said, I've been trying to run a different lead flow and trying to kind of mix it up a little bit. I think my absolute, gosh, that's my favorite. Now I'm saying this is also my favorite because I like them all. I also really like the internet leads. If they are serious about it, I think it's the most quick, efficient appointment you can ever have. If you walk
Right.
in and to purchase, I mean, they got their, as Zach Twardowski says, they got their medicine, they got their checkbook, and they got their ID all on the table for you. Gosh, you
Boom,
can
boom,
be in.
boom.
I think the quickest appointment I ever had was like literally, I'm not kidding, man. It was like 7 minutes. Guy's like, hey, I know what I want. This. I'm healthy. This is what I take. No, I take metformin for this. Blah blah. I'm like, all right, perfect. You want 50,000 or excuse me, $30,000 of coverage? He's like, yep. I'm like, out. Gotcha. And again, at the end of the day, people don't want you to sit there and kind of take up their entire day, I think. And that's what I'm saying. If people are super serious about it and there's an intent to purchase, I think internet leads are just the quickest thing ever. So, but I also will say this. I think for newer agents, internet leads are a great way to start because you can get a lot of them for cheap, right? Like I said, I think I bought, I don't even know how many leads today for about $1,000. As far as when people come into the business, and if you want me to not go down this path, let me know.
Oh, I love the fact that you're going down that path, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because you're mentioning, I'm guessing on your previous companies, do you have to spend money on leads, Michael, or not?
No, no. So
No,
we did.
right. So look how natural it comes to you to say, "Oh, today I spent $1,000 on leads." $1,000, like I know you laugh now, you think it's crazy, right? You think that, man, $1,000, it's like rent for a lot of people. That's a
Yep.
month of rent, and that's something that you invested today, but it's your business,
Yep.
and it's something that is completely normal because you know that out of that $1,000 of leads that you have, you know that you're very likely to make what?
Yeah.
More or
So
less. More or less, if you have to guess.
more, definitely more. Definitely more. But what I was going to say too, also the same thing, Punch, was I think that with internet leads, you can kind of, I'm not saying you can mess up a little bit, but you can kind of stumble through it because, like they say, the checks on the forehead is what Sean says. And so you can get a lot of them for a lot cheaper. So I think it's a great way for new agents to start and kind of at least dabble in it for a little bit. And don't get me wrong, you're going to sit on Zoom or sit on, the phone dialing for, gosh, 10, 11, 12 hours a day. But again, if you spent money on leads, you got to work anyways because that's the other thing too is you can't expect the return on the money to be right away. Like if you're going to go make 5, 6, 7, 8 grand in a weekend, like yeah, you got to work hard for that, right? So I think it's a good way for new agents to start on the internet leads because you can get a lot of them for cheap, especially if there's a tighter budget as far as lead flow. I do think it's also really important to get newer agents who maybe are previously licensed or, have really kind of shown that they'll work hard, get their hands on some mortgage protection early on too, to get them paid. Right. And so, but I think the biggest thing and the best thing that happened to me was the first like 2 or 3 weeks I was in homes. I was called Zach, called Easton. I basically just reached out to whoever I thought maybe could help me out because I was a mess. I was like,
Yeah,
I don't know what to do.
but you came from an insurance background yourself of how many years?
Yeah, so I had been in insurance for probably 4 or 5 years. I don't even know, 4 or 5 years
But
probably.
and that's the best part about it if you think about it, because you have a 4 or 5 year experience in insurance. You come in here,
Yep.
and it's kind of like, hey, scratch all these 4 or 5 years. Not quite scratch them because you do have very good experience from there,
Yep.
but you went right back into the basics of like, hey, I know that I can call my upline, which Zach Twardowski, Easton Patton. Dude, Easton just hit board member today. How huge is that? Board member,
I,
for those watching, is $1 million in sales for his team in 1 month.
it's crazy.
$1 million for his team in 1 month. And of course, Zach Twardowski is already an integrity partner, 3 million plus. Like he's a whole different ball level, like whole different game, and 26 years old. So yeah, just to
Yeah.
top it off. But to have access to people like that will
Yep.
pick up the phone and guide you through it, come in writing, it's massive. And I
Yep.
know that right now you probably at some stage you probably still call them. I still call them from time to time.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and it's the best thing because they know that on run days, if people are calling them, they're very likely on the home with someone and they need help. So that's the beauty of FFL, that everyone wants to help everyone succeed, which is a huge part of it.
I think so too. And last thing I'll say about I don't know, one more thing I want to say about the lead thing is like with the mortgage protection leads, I think that really it's important to have structure. And I think that that's just the thing is like, I think you almost have to be more on in a way. And it's just my personal opinion through experience, because I knew if I let like a no sale and I brought that into that next house with me, my structure was already lost because I was thinking about that previous appointment.
Right.
But I think also at the same time too, having structure, but being okay with messing up, being okay with maybe saying the wrong thing or forgetting to ask the right question, because you have great uplines like Zach, like Easton, you know, a bunch of other teams. I know up here they have, you know, Sam, Kiefer, Evan, who all sell tons and tons of insurance. All you got to do is
Huge
read,
team.
right? They're huge. They're massive. I mean, they're all absolute studs. They're all going to hit Hall of Fame this year. And so,
Oh yeah.
yeah, exactly. And if you're surrounded by people who genuinely want to help, like having an upline that genuinely is invested in you and your growth, not just your override, I think is a game changer. So that's my story about it. So I'll stop now.
And the best thing is that people, all the people that you just mentioned, Evan, Kiefer, Samantha, like Zach, Easton, they're all very humble people, and they're all like they all extend their arm out to like, hey, how can I help out? That this is like, let me show you exactly what I do. I'm a huge believer of sharing like what we do, because if you help me out, like you know, and it can help you as well, fantastic, man. The truth is that something that I learned in previous jobs, Michael, is that sometimes you are doing something, you're being successful at it, and if you just keep it to yourself, it's that's how far you're gonna go, you know. But if you can bring people along with you, if you can share, you can help them out, it goes a long ways, a very
Absolutely.
long way. And then the cool thing about it is that you learn that people do things differently. Sometimes you're like, oh man, I'm doing really well and I'm doing whatever, blah blah. But then when you ask other people, when you share what you're doing, then you learn that, oh, why was I doing this? Or, oh, I should try that. And
Yep.
and it's the best part, because that's the culture here. People who are a lot of humble people, humble and hungry goes hand in hand here.
Yep.
Because if you're not humble here, you don't belong to what Family First Life is doing. Like people here trying to help out other people succeed, and is the name of the game in this company, which I find it surprises me, man. It surprises me how generous people are about their time and what they're doing. Like right now, you wouldn't have to be here, but you'd be like, hey, I want to come in, I want to join in, I want to share my knowledge, because I know it's going to help someone for sure, not just Pancho's ears, which is a
No,
good thing, right? So so it's great, man. I'm collecting knowledge for all these from all these top agents, which I'm loving, but at the same time, I want to share the whole thing for everyone, right?
yeah.
So that's why I'm doing this.
What I would
Okay,
say,
so,
I had
yep.
one more.
Sure,
Sorry.
sure. Go ahead.
About is like, I had a gentleman who's on our team who's actually become a really good friend. The other cool part I would say is like you become, yeah, they're business partners, but at the same time, people are people, and like you want to invest into people and know. And you know, I made a bunch of really good friends in a very business oriented way, right? We talk about business, we're helpful to each other, we hold each other accountable. There was a gentleman that reached out the other day, just asking for some advice on the phone, and I said, hey, he's like, yeah, I've talked to like two other people, I just want to know your advice. And I said, hey man, at the end of the day, anybody's advice is going to be good advice. You just have to make it your own, right? And I said, hey, just because I say this or you say this or she says this or Pancho says this doesn't mean that it works for everybody. Take it and make it your own.
Exactly.
Way back to the in-home. I'm pretty sure there's like maybe 3 or 4 different people that I use for my in-home, like Zach, Easton, Evan, Jake Conan's, all structured together, very high-level producers. And then there's me. And like, it doesn't make it special or anything like that. It's just one of those things that, like, you know, power or knowledge is power, and power is sharing knowledge too. So
100%.
that's what I think is huge. That's one of the cool things about the FFL community is like everyone's so humble and willing to help people grow. So I think that's cool.
I couldn't agree more, Michael. Couldn't agree more. So, are you building a team, Michael?
Yeah, so working on it. Yeah, working on it. It's one of those things that at first I definitely was like, hey, like I just want to get paid, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Because the company I came from, great company still, is fully underwritten, 60 to 90-day sales cycle. And so I thought maybe at first it would be easier to be able to bring over some like warm market people that I previously worked with. I thought at first it would be, but then I was like, I don't really want to push the buttons there, do that necessarily right away. But I think after seeing, even, Easton hitting board member today, and all these other agents that are coming, executive vice presidents, senior vice president, vice president, so on and so forth down the line. And it's one of those things too, like you said a couple minutes ago, Pancho. It's like, hey, if I have this knowledge of this industry and the knowledge of like what Family First Life has to offer, not just for us but for clients, like it would be selfish of me not to share that. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of where. And so I've definitely made a very significant effort in the recruiting part of things. I know Zach and I have talked about I need to hire a couple staff, and that's also in the works right now too, as far as getting people out there, admin, recruiters, getting ads out there. And so I plan to have a team at least issuing, and you can hold me accountable with this, anywhere from 100 to 200,000, hopefully by the end of the year. So that'd be good.
That's a big one, man. That's a big one. Good goals, but I have no doubt that you can achieve them, man. No doubt. Good structure. So we're gonna get into the challenges. So
all right.
How do you challenge yourself on a daily basis to remain a top producer? Because you constantly like make 20, 30, sometimes even 40K a month. So how do you keep yourself accountable? How do you challenge yourself every day?
Yeah, so for me, it comes back to I think how I was raised. I was blessed and very lucky to have great parents. I think at the end of the day, it's one of those things. If you make it about you, I think it's really difficult to want to wake up every day and sit on Zoom for 12 hours. But if you know the results of your fruits of your labor, right? As far as if you put in the work financially, you're going to be rewarded, right? And at the end of the day, yeah, it's nice to have money in your bank account. It's nice to be able to travel and go to those Broncos games and travel and do those fun things. And nice to be able to spend $1,000 on leads and not have to even think about it, right?
Correct.
But I think what the challenge is, and I don't know if I'm going off track here, but to kind of wake up every single day and still, go produce 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever a month, is I think that it's not about me. And when it's not about me, it's one of those things that I can really put, the ones I want to help my family out with, what I want to provide for them, what I want to be able to do. But also at the same time too, if I'm in the shoes of a client or a client's son that needs mom to have protection so I can make sure her final expenses are taken care of because I have my own family, at the end of the day, like it's hard not to want to go help people that are asking for help, right? And I'm not gonna lie, there's been many times that I've been in the home with people. I'm like, gosh, do I really have to leave? Can I adopt you as my step grandparents? You know what I mean? And so I think the motivating thing to me is being able to knowing what it can do for my family and the people I love and around me, but also at the same time too, what it can do for those clients that are requesting the coverage and will need the help. Because at the end of the day, if they're asking for help and letting you come over, it'd be really weird if you didn't help them, right?
Right.
So I think that's kind of the cool thing, and I don't know if that's off track.
No. It answers the question. It's about why you're motivated to do it here. You have your duty with your clients. Yeah, you're responsible for a request. If you purchase that lead, I see that you're responsible to resolve it, because on the other side of the lead is a person who like put their hand up saying, "Hey, I'm looking for insurance." And you happen to be that one agent out of hundreds of thousands of agents who purchased that particular lead and has the privilege to go and help them out. So that's a very good way of being motivated about doing it, Michael. Very good. Let me ask you another question, Michael. How do you challenge your clients when you start getting a bit of pushback at the end? How do you go about it? How do you challenge them? In different scenarios? Let's say, for example, the classic, "Oh, I want to think about it, X, Y, and Z." How do you go about it? How do you challenge your clients?
Yeah, so this has evolved definitely in the last 2 months, I think. And also this goes back to another great thing about FFL is the resources as far as trainings too. I mean, it's just unmatched, right? And so, but I would say as far as challenging clients when you're in the home saying, "Hey, I want to think about it." Hey, totally get it. At first, I was kind of using the whole, the insurance company's got to think about it, got to make sure you can get approved for the coverage that you want. Totally think that's still a great thing. But what I've started doing now is like, "Hey, Pancho, you and your beautiful wife over there, or whatever you have, I don't know. If something happens to you, you guys both had said like, hey, it'd be really hard for us to stay in the home or hard for her to stay in the home, whether something happens and you ultimately pass away or you become sick, disabled, whatever it may be. Unfortunately, God forbid something happens. But what I've said nowadays is like, hey, looking back through your budget, you said that you guys are making about $7,000 a month. Your your expenses are about 3,000. And what I tell people there, I'm like, hey, so you got about $4,000 left over, right? And always they're like, no, like we have things come up, tires, things like that, kind of the non-negotiable things that come up, right? I'm like, hey, no worries. Does that cost you all 4,000 every single month? And they're gonna be like, well, no. And I'm like, okay, cool. So what I got to do here today is I know you guys got to think about it, but we have to at least submit coverage for that bare minimum, even if it's a half or a fraction of what you think you actually fully need, because I can't walk out of here without having something in place after you guys just described to me that she's going to have to move out in 2 months if something happens to you.
Wow.
Right. And so I'm super, super big on the bare minimum now. That's kind of my go-to with people is, hey, Pancho, I know you can't afford, home mortgage is going to be $250 a month. I know you said that's probably going to stretch the budget for you and your wife. So what we're going to do here today is I tell them, hey, so what we're going to do, I don't ask them if that's okay if we do this. I said, hey, no,
You're not asking for permission.
no,
Very good.
exactly. So, hey, what we're going to do today, we're going to submit just a fraction of that. We're going to get you like maybe even a fourth of that coverage for $50 a month. And we're going to start here. I want you guys to let me know how it feels for the first couple months. If you need me to come back out, I can come back out. But I found that there's no easier phone sale than a client that's already bought from you and they want to increase coverage.
Oh my God. Exactly.
And if you're doing the right thing always by your client, yes, there's going to be chargebacks. Yes, that's going to happen. But tell you what, small policies or smaller policies will stay on the books because you did the right thing. And chances are they're going to come back and they're going to want more. So,
Bingo. I love that challenge. I think that is, I love the specifics of how you challenge your clients in order to understand not only the value, but that they can do it. Because sometimes they want to say no because they believe they cannot afford it when they actually can.
yep.
And then exposing that there and then setting it up properly, saying, hey, we can make this happen. That is huge, Michael. That is massive. Thank you for sharing that. I know that was very important. So challenge number 3, I don't know how good is your Spanish.
Oh gosh, not good. Actually, there's a guy in the office in Minneapolis. You don't know if anybody. His name's Gabe Andrews. He speaks Spanish because he thought it would be fun to learn. And so whenever I have a Spanish leader, I think that I either call you or Christian. But if I can't get home, I'm like, hey Gabe, I need your help. And to tell you what, man, he goes and sells.
He gets it done. That's what matters. That's what matters. That's good. Well, in this challenge, I'm gonna challenge you to say a couple of sentences in Spanish.
Okay.
I've made every single other person do it before.
Sure.
So the first sentence is, si no es ahora, ¿cuándo?
Si no es ahora, ¿cuándo?
Desafía este momento.
Desafía. What was the last part?
Este momento.
Este momento.
Si no es ahora, ¿cuándo? Desafía este momento.
Oh gosh, man.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I'm not getting this done.
You got it. You did better than Henry. Henry Payne had a hard time a couple of weeks back. Anyway, you did pretty good. So let me explain what that means. So it means if not now, when? Challenge this moment. Okay. Because it's about like every day, every little thing that we live. This is what this is about. This particular conversation about how do we challenge ourselves to be better? How do we challenge every moment that we have to improve in those little things that we have? The moment that we wake up till the moment that we go to bed, those little things. We're full of opportunities throughout the day to be better. And how can we challenge every moment to improve ourselves? Because at the end of the day, this is a business where we work a lot as a team, but ultimately we're independent. So we need to challenge ourselves because no one's over your shoulders making sure, hey, Michael, did you wake up today? Are you at the office on time making the calls? Do you go out on the field to do that? So if you're not keeping yourself accountable and having the people around you, if you're not challenging yourself, it's going to be very complicated to be successful at this business or any business that you try to get into. So that's the whole point of this. So I hope that you enjoy this. I very much appreciate your time coming in here, having you sharing the information about the live transfers. I'm so looking forward about that. For the ones that join into the call later, you definitely want to watch the replay. It's going to be up on Instagram Live on FFL State. Um, one more thing, Michael, who should be here? And
Okay.
I want, and I'm gonna be very picky now. I'm gonna be picky because I get Jared the man next week.
Okay. Oh,
So he's already coming in next week. So the person that you pick is gonna be 2 weeks from now, and
okay.
we're looking for a girl because we're looking for a girl because I've had like 5 guys in a row, like 6 guys in a row now with Jared coming next week. So
Sure.
we need to show that this is not only a dude industry because I know there's some girls here who are killing it. And
Yeah.
if you think there should be someone that I should interview and ask a couple of questions that should bring value to people watching, I would love to hear that name. If you have someone in mind right now, you can give it to me. That's great.
Yeah.
If you don't, you can text it to me, but I'd rather you say something now if you can.
Yeah,
Who should it
sure.
be here 2 weeks from now?
Does it have to be somebody in our group or can it be just
No,
anybody?
it could be anywhere, anyone from FFL. Who would you like to hear? I'm going to reach out. I'm going to tell them that you challenge them to be
Okay.
on Challenge with
Yeah.
Punch.
There's two that I can think of that would be really, really good. I'm torn between two. One might get mad at me for telling that you should do them, but that's fine. So Samantha Brooke would be a good one. She's the one that has the office up here.
It's
She,
on.
so I think
It's
she's the one.
on. It's on.
I'll probably text me or
Sam,
call me in a second,
that,
but
oh, that's okay. You know what? If she's watching, I hope she is. Samantha,
yeah,
you're up.
yep.
2 weeks from now, Challenge with Punch. I'm very much looking forward. I want to talk. Well, I want to talk with her about like opening the office and all that kind of stuff. That's great stuff. It's great that she's coming in because lots of new knowledge that no one has shared as well, and also some girl power. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, do you have any questions for me before we say our goodbyes? But besides that, you had it. Man, that was so much fun. That was great.
No, yeah, no, I would, I guess no questions, but I'd tell thanks for doing this kind of stuff. It's really fun and humbling to be a part of. And I really appreciate you taking the time. And I know whenever we get a chance to talk, I always enjoy our conversation. So look forward to staying in touch and I appreciate everything you're doing, man.
My pleasure, Michael. Thank you so much for you for taking your time
Absolutely.
to come here, give back, share your knowledge. Keep doing that when you can. I know that eventually you're gonna have a massive team and a huge agency. I have no doubt. You're a great guy, great to be around. Look forward to more Zoom calls in the next couple of weeks and see where we can take this with this ship to. All right.
I'm in, man. Absolutely. Let's do it. We'll take care, Pancho. Appreciate it, buddy.
You too. Take care. Thank you so much. Bye
Yep.
bye.
Yep. Take care.
Well, thank you so much, everyone who joined us today in Challenge with Pancho. We had Michael Hermann, who was tremendous. He shares so much knowledge, lots of value on this call. Please feel free to go and find it on FFL State. Next week, we have Jared Dement joining me, and I know that he is been crushing it. So he's going to be sharing way more value than many people that I know. Thanks again for you joining in, and have a great rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.